All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. He says
Aye.
The cameraman says aye.
aye. Okay, so tonight is the budget meeting, where we're gonna adopt the proposed budget, hopefully. It should be a fairly, unfortunately, tonight's meeting, we were hoping to have videotape, but for reasons unbeknownst, that's not happening, so we've set up a portable iCamera,
You call the agency.
and we're doing the recording by iPad. So, John Milazari, do you want to present the budget for 2012, proposed budget?
I will present the proposed budget. The commissioners have received electronically the proposed budget that's being discussed tonight. The highlights of this budget, all firefighter positions have been filled and funded for the 2015 budget. All other positions funded in 2014 are funded in 2015 budget. We've included a 5% increase for the medical and hospital premium for next year. The budget also has included in it substantial dollars provided for an engineering review for the district's firehouses for the purpose of setting up a capital plan to renovate and upgrade these locations. A 13% reduction in overtime for 2015 is in this budget, and that's resulting from the hiring of 9 new firefighters that were done in 2014. The budget also includes a 7% reduction in the district's contribution for the retirement benefits provided to its employees. The district does realize a large savings for each new firefighter that is hired to replace a retiring top-paid firefighter, only during the first couple of years. And finally, with all that said and done, we're proposing a reduction in the district's tax levy of 0.75%. And just as a disclaimer, the budget was prepared based on 2014 actual data, as well as estimates and projections received from third parties.
Okay, thank you, John. So to recap, if you look at the budget, we have savings on the medical, how much the retirement benefits we're going to be paying. Since we hired 9 new firefighters in 2014, they start at the lower pay, so we have a savings there. We have money in the budget of about $150,000 to hire an architectural firm to do renovations for the firehouse, hopefully, and contingency. And that's the highlights. This all nets out to be about what, John? How many basis points?
I didn't hear the question.
How much less are we spending this year over last year?
$243,000 less, which is 1.39% of the budget.
Okay. And that will net out to a budget increase of about 75 basis points.
A reduction.
A reduction in our tax levy.
Levy, correct.
So, okay, so next year we can look, our tax levy is going to go down by just under 1%.
That's correct. That's before any assessment change in the town's assessment.
Right. So we're basically coming in slightly flat year over year. Currently, what is your projection of how much money will we have at the end of this year that's going to roll over or unspent?
Okay, if you go to the last page of the handout, what we do is we start this year with the fund balances in our audited report. We put in projected revenues for the year as well as projected expenditures. This is done as of August, so I'm projecting out the last 4 months of the year. Right now, if everything goes as planned, we should have in the bank $3.495 million.
$3.5 million.
$3.5 million around it.
And then we'll have, that's included in the capital reserve of 7, that's not included.
No, that's separate. The 721 is separate. That's what we're projecting for year end this year for the special reserve of capital apparatus and housing.
Now, the overtime budget, this is reduced 2014, because we have a number of new firemen that will be working at lower rates, and hopefully they'll be able to fill in when our firemen are not able to come to work.
Well, yeah, we have full staff this year, so we're assuming that will knock down some overtime as well as the new people being at a lower rate.
Okay. Certiorari stays the same, apparatus reserve stays the same. Building maintenance is down because we don't have a full-time mechanic, I believe. Is that the?
No, that's, the building maintenance is down because we don't have the generators in the budget this year. We paid for the generators out of that line this year.
Okay.
And three to five, what do we buy, right?
I'm sorry?
How many generators do we buy, right?
3.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the board here?
No, I just think it's great that we're actually going to lower the levy.
Can we talk to the tax cap a little bit, or you want to do that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. John, we are, obviously we don't have to vote to go over the tax cap, so we're not going to be going over the tax cap. But the tax cap has, so we're not doing anything with the tax cap this year, but it will affect our budget next year. Because what is set this year is how we carry over next year, and John will explain that to us.
Okay.
And Commissioner Napolitano is working as cameraman, so he is here, he's following the meeting, but he's being the cameraman.
I'll be voting.
If we go back, and to page 4 in there, there's a document there which is the recap of the tax cap. And, you know, these are last year's tax levies in there, there's a growth factor in there, there's an allowable growth factor in there, that's kind of a duplication, but what it says is, if we wanted to hit the tax cap this year and stay within it, we would have to stay under $16,903,000. We're coming in at $16,483,000, which is under the cap number of $420,000. Besides the fact, next year, what you can do with that excess fund is when we get to next year's budget, you can roll forward the excess. We can't get it all. We'll get about $250,000 out of $430,000. So we have a year for tax cap purposes where it's difficult. We can apply that money to it, which allows us to stay under the cap and at the same time reward our taxpayers with the rebate.
Okay. So any board member discussion or any questions? Okay. Now, Mr. DeFelice, would you like to have, we'll open it up to the public right now because we don't want to vote on it unless you have a chance to talk or comment. And Mr. DeFelice is the only person in attendance tonight, other than the representative from the local newspaper. And thank you for coming, Mr. DeFelice.
Yes, thanks for coming, Mr. DeFelice.
Peter DeFelice. First thing I see here is that we have in the first column January and December 14. The next column is January and December 15. Is that what's the year on that?
2014, 2015. It's just the columns they don't
That's the way they go up. Okay.
So it's basically the year 2014, 2015. And I'm sorry for the size of the font.
Outside services, what does that consist of?
Well, John can answer that, but I didn't believe it.
I can't hear you.
John?
John can answer that.
Outside services.
That's payroll. How much is which line?
Outside services, $12,000.
That's the payroll.
Payroll, that's the payroll process.
What's the rating? That's our payroll.
Contingency experiences, how many expenses, $180,000.
The $180,000 represents a little over 1% of the budget, and it's in case we didn't catch everything that's on a line item. It allows the commissioners to use some money if I miss it during the budget cycle, and something comes up and they, unanticipated expense.
Okay, you say anticipate, but the year before it was $75,000. Why did it say $180,000 now? Why should it be different?
We weren't able to get those numbers. Right now, we have a firm drafting the drawings.
I think the line item in there where we have a little flexibility is the contingency item, and that's why it's called a contingency. And so,
Then you have here, attorney fees. Last year was $36,000. This year it was zero. Last year was,
well, we moved that line, because
Yeah.
because we've had an in-house attorney in the past, we're not gonna have an in-house attorney. So,
We had a line in there for an in-house attorney. We decided not to go with one.
right, and we moved that line, I think, to professional services.
That's correct.
It went to professional services.
Consulting. And if you notice, our professional consulting numbers way up. And that's gonna be for our attorneys.
then you have the accountants and auditors, zero by the course.
We put that in
That's
there,
a professional service.
professional services.
Then why do you put that accountant and auditors in here?
That's, you're looking at the head, right under the 16.5 of the year-end order.
Where, it's in.
16.5, 16.5.
Right on
Right
now.
now, see, that's just it, that's a head.
We know what the order fee is gonna be next year. 16,500.
When you say that the accounting auditors at the heading, it has a number, 3410.42. The year-end fee is another number, 3410.44. That, it's not the same department according to the numbers that you have on the side.
No. I don't want to, Jerry, keep going back and forth.
We used, let me say this, in prior years, we used to have an accounting firm come in and help the district with their accounting. We no longer have it. We didn't have it last year, we don't have it next year.
And they didn't prepare this year's budget.
No.
John knows already the budget himself.
I agree.
So Mr. DeFilippo, it ends up being that we actually ended up truing up the numbers the way we actually used the money in the past year and moving it forward into 2015.
Then you have here professional consultant fees. Again, from 46,000, it comes to 330,000.
Yeah, so what we did is we had resources that we consider professional services. Those resources can be anything from engineering, they can be lawyers, they can be different types of lawyers like the 207A lawyers, and we put it all in one bucket so that we can manage the cost a little better.
But to go to $330,000, you have to have a lot of consultants and everything else. What's the consultant with? Consulting how the firemen is supposed to work? consulting how the-
Well, if you look at the actuals from last year, it's pretty close. That's what we end up spending.
Professional consulting is going to be, Mr. DeFelice, also. We have a lot of work to do in these firehouses, and we need to bring an expert engineer in to figure out what that's all going to cost. Because at the end of the day, somebody has to bond it out, and we got to see what it's going to cost if it's going to happen.
I realize that. But the general public doesn't realize that. They show a figure here, that this is distributed to people in the newspaper, that they see a figure that's gone up so high.
Yeah, that's true. It's gone up, but it's gone, like, for example, we zeroed out the lawyer, right? That was originally a cost of $32,000.
You're explaining to me, which I
Yeah.
understand. But I'm saying the general public doesn't understand that. That's
Well,
Mr. DeFelice used to be an auditor, for those of you who don't know, he was a professional auditor.
We had discussed in the previous meeting, and it's in the proposed budget highlights tonight, about a substantial dollar amount being allocated for engineering review of the district's firehouses. That's why that number has gone up somewhat significantly over the prior year.
what's the tax on anticipating notes? $750,000.
We issue what we call a TAN, tax anticipation note, because the town doesn't give us the tax money until mid-May, and we would run out of money sometime in mid-March. So we borrowed $750,000 to get us over 6 weeks. It cost us about $6,000 or $7,000 to do that. And so every year we go to the mechanical step and go to JP Morgan Chase, borrow $750,000 and give it right back to them.
How much, as of the beginning of the year, did you have in cash?
You're going to say, why are we not using the reserve fund and doing that? We've checked with the lawyers, we're not allowed to use the reserve fund to cover a running shortfall. And we can't run down to where we will not pay salaries. So what we need to do is have a cushion of a few $100,000. So we borrow $750, but we probably can get away with maybe $300 or $400. We have to be, it's a fire department, something can come up, we need money.
Okay, in other words,
So we have 2 years of actual data now to look at that. So John took the 2 years of actual cost and put it in there.
but there are things that I understand it, but they're given out to the newspapers.
Well, you know, quite frankly, us discussing it the way we are right now and it being recorded is communicating to the public. So you're doing a good thing. You're not doing a bad thing. And neither are we. So.
I'm not doing this. I'm saying it's good. I appreciate that. It's
Yeah,
good.
so having the discussion is what we should be doing. So, and we're doing that.
I don't see none of the firemen are here tonight,
No, they're not.
so they didn't show up. But what has been done about these people that have been overpaid? I think the figure was about $6 million, or am I mistaken?
No. We would hope that was the case, but it's not.
No, actually, I don't hope it was the case. So,
No, it was, we've sent letters out and haven't gotten
No, forget what you did. And then you wanted a figure that you came up with that they were overpaid.
Oh, that we know, we had a figure where people haven't paid their medical insurance for a number of years, and that figure was around the $800,000 number.
$800,000, okay, so they have $800,000 that's been spent in the way, and you're trying to collect it. What are you trying to do to collect it?
Well, here's what we've done. We sent letters, and we sent another round of letters. We've also taken, you can stay with direction. We also have taken, everyone who has their medical insurance through the fire department now is paying for it. If they're not paying for it, we've canceled the policies. So right now, everyone is current. All the retirees, families, the widows, everyone who's supposed to be paying their health care is paying. Those who decided they didn't want their health care, some canceled, and some of them we canceled after proper due course. So right now, everyone is current, and we have to go back and try to retrieve some of these
Am
funds.
I to understand that these people that were overpaid is still covered under the insurance plan?
Well, yeah, but the way this works is a state policy. We have no ability other than to get them current. We can't go, we just have the ability to make sure they were current, and if they weren't current, we can cancel them.
so it basically is this: there were people that weren't paying their monthly health care. Now they're coming to the fire department and dropping off checks and paying.
I'm talking about the people that are retired and that are owing this $800,000.
So the board has to look at that almost effectively as an individual.
They've been covered right along by the insurance.
Yes.
These people there that are owing.
Yes, we cannot terminate their insurance.
You cannot terminate this insurance?
No,
We can if they do not pay us.
if they did not pay us.
Now you made them all pay us to get current.
No, I say, why can't you collect, why should you continue, these people have retired? Is there something in the contract saying that they have to continue on until eternity?
Well, basically,
Yeah.
they stay on till eternity if they're, well, I shouldn't say that. Right now, we cannot terminate their insurance for lack of, we can only terminate it for lack of payment, and that's what we do. that's for new hires.
Yeah, but does it say in there that they have to be paid after they're retired? Is that part of the deal?
No, it's a past practice issue.
We don't go into that.
Well, I was going to suggest that these people haven't paid, that you advertise in their public, in their town that they may reside in, the amount that they're owing. And put their name, address, and the amount that they're owing in the town newspaper. Do that for a couple months, couple of years. And you'll see, I think you may get good results from that. So that's the thought, I'm not saying it.
Yeah, there might be some laws prohibiting that.
It's called dunning.
Now, there's another thing that came up that I noticed in the newspaper, where some of the schools, one school in particular made an issue of it, where a disabled child, they had a fire in the building, and they had taken that child and put into what they call supposedly a safe room. Now, that safe room could have caught fire. So I think that the board should institute to go to the schools and recommend what they should do in case of something like that came up. That they would have assistance and you've got professional help, not you've got the principal giving directions of what should be done. He's not a professional man.
Right. You're 100% correct. In the Bronxville school, I noticed personally, they have areas of rescue. It's called an area of rescue. In an area of rescue is generally an intercom to a main floor, and the person goes into the area of rescue. The apparatus can be operated from a wheelchair height, and they can communicate with a command center, and it's in a sealed room. Usually it has window access where somebody can get a ladder to that location. The Bronxville, and then they have Bronxville School in particular has stair chairs where on each floor to take a person down, and the staff is trained to use those stair chairs. You'll see them mounted in the stairwells, or near the stairwells. They're vertical steel boxes. They have steel chairs inside. But your point is correct that more building familiarization has to happen. The board has asked the chief as of last month to make sure all the groups have walked through the building and are familiar with the building. And when they're doing that walkthrough, they should get familiar with the procedures for evacuating the disabled from those buildings. And that's getting familiar with where the areas of rescue are and the protocol in each school, how those areas of rescue function. So you're 100% correct. There was a neighboring school district, not in Eastchester, that had a significant problem with this. They got criticized wholly for it. But I think I have to let the Bronxville School particularly is well up to speed on this, but it's always good to do the refresher, and the board has been on the chief to make sure there's the groups, each group go through each school in the town. The fire inspector has started contacting the schools, and we would like to see it move faster than it's moving. Is that fair?
Now, another question I have. We have once a year the Columbus Affair, and we've got fireworks going there.
We have what is it?
The Columbus Alliance Festival.
Yeah, the Columbus
I'm
Day.
not Columbus Festival.
Yeah.
Columbus Day Festival
Yeah.
in October. Now, they have the rides and everything, and they have the fireworks. Is the fire department on duty there when the fireworks are on?
I don't know, Mike,
Yes, we always have presents, fireworks, I'll have an engine detailed up at the site as always.
That's the case of all the towns when they do their fireworks, including Tuckahoe.
Sometimes firework events where we have a present. When it's in Tuckahoe, because of the isolation,
Eastchester, are they
no, no, it makes a difference. Down there, we actually, because I bring in extra people. Columbus Day up the town, it's done with the on duty, we put the engine up on the hill between the people and the fireworks.
Okay, so it's covered.
Every
It's covered.
It's covered.
They on Columbus is there, they're covered. When the fire department is covered.
There, every year.
Now, do they get paid? Do you get paid?
Yes, they get paid.
Excuse me?
No, we're not paid by the town, anybody else.
Okay, you're not paid, you don't submit a bill to the town?
No.
Okay, all right, now you pay. Now, in the same expense sheet, I see that the police department have a coverage, and they'll put in for overtime at the rate of $60 an hour. Now, why should they be paid by the town, and the fire department is paid by the fire department themselves?
Well, I can speak a little bit to that. So what happens that's different between a police force and a fire force is once such an event occurs, the population raises very high. So they have no choice to bring in additional personnel on duty. We're not bringing in additional personnel on duty for the shift. The policemen are bringing additional personnel that are not part of the standard shift during that time period. So that's the overtime that they're adding.
Mr. DeFelice, we have to kind of move along a little. I'm sorry, I know you came here tonight special for this meeting, but we have to,
Okay,
we have personnel to
you
discuss.
sound like town board, but you should answer the
Give
question.
you more time.
All right, thank you, Mr. DeFilippe.
Okay. Mr. Mullenweg, do you have any more comments?
Just one comment, can we just go to page 5 where it's got the supplemental information?
Yes.
Where we show unassigned fund balance of $3.5 million.
Yes.
You know, as we look forward, you know, with the engineer's report, the age of our fire trucks, there's a very good likelihood that we're going to go to the debt markets to pay for some of these items. A fund balance of that size will help our credit rating when we go for it. So it's good to have that right now. We've never borrowed before, we don't have a credit rating. So I just point that out to the board, you know.
We'll be hiring an outside service to get us a credit rating.
Correct. Moody's or S&P, or, you know, it'll be a major.
Yeah, good point, John.
Okay, thank you, John. So, any additional board member comments on the budget? Let me explain what's going to happen between now and October 21st, which is a Tuesday. The law requires us to have a budget adopted 21 days before October 21. Our next board meeting is October 9. That's why we couldn't do this at the October 9th meeting. We had to do a special meeting tonight. So tonight we'll adopt our proposed budget. We can discuss the proposed budget at the October 9th meeting. If any residents have any concerns, questions, comments, wants copies, the copies are available at Town Hall. They'll be available at the Fire District, and we'll leave copies available at the villages as well.
As well as the website.
As well on the website. So you'll have the website, eastchesterfb.com, Villages Hall, Tuckahoe Village Hall, Bronxville Village Hall, and the Town Hall, and the Fire District will have copies of the budget. We'll have our October 9th regular board meeting, the second Thursday of the month, here in Bronxville. We will have a budget hearing October 21st, as prescribed by law. We have to hold it that day, at which time the board will either pass or not pass the budget. They can't raise the budget after tonight. So right now, we're going to come in probably down roughly less, will be a tax reduction from, not a tax reduction, a spending reduction of $242,000 roughly, which would be about 0.75% reduction in spending. That should equate to a flat or down tax number this year, depending on how the tax assessments in the town work. But for our part, we're coming in lower than last year, or this board's part, including Mr. Napolitano, who's an accountant. So, I would look for a motion to adopt the Eastchester Fire Commission, the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners has reviewed the proposed fire district budget for fiscal year 2014 as presented by the Fire District Treasurer John Molinari. The operating budget is being reduced by $242,547, resulting in a reduction in the operating budget. The proposed budget, as detailed